Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dives, where we take that stack of sources and really try to pull out the interesting stuff. And today we're going to be looking at AI music creation. We've got articles, we've got research, all sorts of things. And it really looks like AI isn't just, automating the music industry anymore. It's like it's becoming a force in music.
Yeah, and it's really impacting like every single aspect of it. I mean, like even from composing to writing the lyrics and even getting down to the mastering.
And we've got these crazy examples, like we've got Grimes, and she's letting people use her AI voice. And then we've got a musician who's collaborating with his AI. It's called Spawn. And then David Guetta, this is the one that really kind of blew my mind. David Guetta, he was using AI Eminem vocals.
Yeah, he was making headlines with that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of makes you think, is AI the future of music?
Well, or is it a threat? I mean, that's a big question.
Yeah, that's a big question. But first, let's just take a step back. For anyone who's maybe not, super familiar with all this, can you just break down what AI music creation even is?
Yeah. So it's all about algorithms. It's like neural networks and deep learning. So imagine taking all this music data, I'm talking like every note, every chord progression, all the lyrics, everything, and you feed it into this computer program. And the AI, it analyzes everything. It looks for patterns, looks for structures, kind of like if you imagine a music student who can just absorb everything they hear.
Oh, okay. So it's like it learns from all the existing music out there. But then how does that translate into making something new?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. So once the AI has this huge knowledge base, it can then start to generate its own musical pieces. So one of the sources, they were talking about OpenAI's MuseNet, and this program can write in all these different styles. I mean, anything from like classical stuff like Mozart all the way to contemporary pop.
So if I asked it to write me like a Mozart K-pop song, it could do it.
Yeah, exactly. And the results are actually shockingly good. But, some people are going to question, like, is it really creativity or is it just really good mimicry? Is it just copying?
Yeah, that makes me think of some of these artists who are using AI.
Yeah.
There's one, I think the source mentioned, Holly Herndon. She's actually working with this AI called Spawn. I love that name, to come up with, melodies, harmonies for her album.
Yeah, Herndon, I mean, she's a great example of where the line between human creativity and AI creativity gets blurry. She sees Spawn as like a partner. It's not just a tool. Like it helps her come up with ideas that she wouldn't have come up with on her own.
Wow. So it's not just copying. Like it's actually coming up with like new stuff, new sounds.
Exactly. It's pushing those boundaries.
I love it. Our sources were also talking about AIVA. I know that stands for Artificial Intelligence Virtual Artist, if you can believe it. And it's a tool that composes scores.
Yeah, that's a game changer for a lot of these indie filmmakers because, getting an original score, it can be really expensive. But AIVA lets them have high-quality custom music without spending a fortune.
It's fantastic. And I imagine it kind of frees them up to experiment more, right? I mean, if they don't have to worry about spending all their money on the music. What about lyrics, though? I mean, can AI write words that really have that human touch, that emotion?
Yeah, that's the big question. And everyone's kind of debating that right now. One of the sources mentioned that songwriters are using ChatGPT to help them with the lyrics. It's not designed for lyrics, like songwriting specifically, but it can do different styles.
Oh, so it's like having an AI writing partner, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I've messed around with ChatGPT a little bit, and it's pretty amazing how it can mimic human language. But I don't know, can it really capture those really complex human emotions?
It's a tough one. I mean, some people think, it'll never have what makes human lyrics so powerful. And then other people think it's like a tool, It helps with writer's block. It can get you thinking in new ways.
Yeah, I can see that. And then on, the whole production side of things, our sources mentioned Lander. It's an AI platform, and it's kind of changing things up for these independent artists.
It's really cool. Basically, it automates the whole mastering process that used to be a really expensive, really specialized service. But now you upload your track and Lander will analyze it. It'll adjust all the frequencies, balance the levels. It even adds some subtle effects, and it all happens in just a few minutes.
Wow. So you basically have like a virtual mastering engineer.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Especially for, artists who don't have those big budgets or access to all those fancy studios.
Exactly. And the results are actually really good. It's making professional sound, much more accessible, and it's shaking things up in the industry.
This is making me think of all sorts of things. Like, what about copyright? If an AI makes a song, who owns it?
Yeah, that's a big one. It's a legal and ethical minefield. I mean, lawyers are still trying to figure all that out. We've got sources that go into the different arguments and possible solutions, but there's no easy answer right now.
And what about, this fear that AI might replace musicians, human musicians? I mean, it makes sense, maybe some of those jobs might not be needed anymore.
It's a valid fear, but some people think that AI is more likely to help humans, Like it'll help enhance their abilities, not replace them. Like imagine it's just like a new instrument that musicians can learn to play.
I like that. So it's like any new technology.
Yes.
It can cause disruptions, but it also creates new possibilities, right?
Yeah.
It's all about how we adapt.
Yeah.
And speaking of possibilities, let's look at these musicians who are out there, on the cutting edge, pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, Grimes, she's a great example. I mean, she's always been innovative and experimental, right? She's not just using AI behind the scenes. It's like part of her artistic vision.
Yeah, one of our sources was talking about how she uses it in her production, but she's also letting fans use her AI voice to remix and reinterpret her music.
Yeah, it's like a totally new way to engage with fans. And I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll hear a fan-made AI Grimes hit song one day.
It's kind of wild to think about. Like, what does it even mean to be an artist in this age of AI? It's something we'll have to delve into in the next part. But before we go, let's just recap some of the key takeaways from this part of the deep dive.
Yeah, so AI is already having a huge impact. It's changing how we make music, produce music, and even how we experience it. We talked about how it can compose in different styles, generate lyrics, and even master tracks.
And we touched on some of the big questions, right? Like, who owns the rights? Can AI capture human emotion?
Yeah.
And will it help us be more creative or less?
These are big, complex questions, and we don't have easy answers. But they're worth thinking about, right? As we move into this new world of AI music.
Man, that first part, like some mind-blowing stuff. I'm still thinking about Grimes letting fans use her AI voice. It's like, what even is like authorship anymore?
Yeah, a lot of people are struggling with that. And it's not just, theoretical, it has real-world consequences, especially with copyright.
Oh, right. Yeah, we touched on that, but maybe we can dive a little deeper. The sources, they went into all these legal challenges around AI music.
It's like a free-for-all right now, The laws, they weren't written with AI in mind. So, like, what if an AI makes a song that sounds just like a Beatles song? Who owns that? The company that made the AI, the person who used it. Does the AI have some kind of right?
I don't even know. It's so confusing. And this isn't just like hypothetical. One of the sources mentioned this case. This musician used AI to make a song. It sounded just like this famous artist, and bam, lawsuit.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. Some experts, they think we need like totally new laws for AI copyright. Others think we can just adapt the ones we have. But it all comes down to this. How do we protect creators, both human and, artificial?
Man, it's a tough one. Big debate. But while the lawyers are figuring that out, you've got these musicians who are out there using AI in all these creative ways.
Yeah.
We were talking about Holly Herndon and Spawn, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Can we go back to that? Because that's like a whole other level of collaboration.
Yeah, I heard, and she's doing something really groundbreaking. She trained Spawn on her own voice, her own style. So it's like this AI extension of her creativity. It can like generate harmonies, melodies, even whole sections of music that totally match her vision.
It's almost like they're, I don't know, connected somehow, like feeding off each other. But is it really collaboration if one of them's an AI? Like, does Spawn even, want to make art?
That's a good question. And honestly, I don't think anyone knows for sure. I mean, Herndon, she says she sees it as a partner, not a tool. And she says it comes up with stuff that she wouldn't have thought of on her own.
Wow. That's really making me rethink, like, where does creativity come from? And it makes me wonder, are we just scratching the surface here? Like, what other crazy collaborations are we going to see?
Yeah, who knows? Imagine, like, AI that can analyze everything a musician's done, their influences, everything, and then give them ideas based on that, like having an AI muse.
That's like straight out of sci-fi. But it's not totally crazy, right? I mean, we're already seeing AI that can help with writer's block. What was that thing called? ChatGPT?
Yeah, ChatGPT. It's not made for music, but songwriters are using it, to play around with lyrics, find rhymes, even come up with song titles. It's like a brainstorming buddy that never gets tired.
Yeah. And you could like tailor it, right? Like, give me a chorus that sounds like Bob Dylan, or I don't know, write a rap about AI. But can it write something that's really, moving, like capture the human experience?
That's the big question, right? Can AI really replicate human emotion? Some people say, yeah, AI lyrics, they'll always sound kind of robotic.
Yeah, it's like that uncanny valley thing, but for music.
Exactly. But then you have people like Taryn Southern. She made this album, I Am AI, and she totally embraced AI as a songwriting partner. She thinks AI can actually help us be more creative, lead to lyrics that are new and, still have that emotional depth.
It sounds like she was really involved, though, right? Not just letting the AI do its thing. She was using it as a tool to, like, explore and experiment.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good reminder that AI isn't magic. It's not going to suddenly make everyone a great songwriter. It's a tool, and when you use it right, it can help you be more creative.
So it's not really about AI versus humans. It's about them working together,
Right.
like combining their strengths. And that reminds me of what we were talking about with AI and music production.
Oh, yeah. I mean, AI is changing everything about how we produce and master music. We talked about Lander, making mastering available to everyone, but there's so much more going on.
One of the sources talked about AI that can analyze a song and suggest different arrangements or even create backing tracks. It's like having a whole band in your computer.
Yeah, it's really empowering. And you see people experimenting, creating sounds that you couldn't make with normal instruments.
It's like those sci-fi movies, right,
Yeah.
with the crazy futuristic instruments. We're not quite there yet, but it feels like we're getting close.
Absolutely. And as AI gets smarter, who knows what kind of sounds we'll be making? Imagine AI that makes music from your brainwaves or adapts to, like, the acoustics of a room in real time.
Whoa, okay, now my mind is really blown. We've talked a lot about the cool stuff, but are there, like, downsides? Risks?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Some people worry that all music will start sounding the same, if everyone's using the same AI tools.
Like that thing where people say all pop songs sound the same.
Exactly. But then again, maybe AI will actually help make music more diverse, because more people will have access to the tools.
Yeah, it's about making creativity accessible.
Right. And in the end, it comes down to the artist, right? Using these tools to express their own vision, their own voice.
Yeah, it's all about choices and tension. AI's powerful, but it's still a tool. We decide how to use it.
That's a good point. We've covered a lot, but this conversation, it's just getting started.
Yeah, we've just started to see what's possible, and there are still a lot of challenges.
In the last part, we'll look at what the future might hold. And we'll ask you, the listener, to think about how you want to be a part of this new world of AI music.
All right, so we've talked about like what AI music is, how it works, but now, like, let's get into the fun stuff. What about the future?
Yeah, let's hop in that time machine and see what's coming.
Our sources, they were talking about some pretty wild scenarios, like personalized music. That seems to be a big thing.
Imagine, like, AI making soundtracks that change based on how you're feeling. Stressed? The music calms you down. Need energy? The beat picks up.
Whoa, that's like having your own personal DJ, like in your head. But how would that even work? Would you have to wear some kind of, like, mood sensor?
Well, it might not be as crazy as it sounds. There are companies working on, wearables that track all sorts of things, heart rate, brain waves, even like your skin. And they could use that data to make music that fits your mood.
So the music would change throughout the day as you're feeling different things. That's kind of cool, but also kind of creepy.
Yeah, the creep factor, that's something to think about. There are definitely some ethical questions there, like privacy. Do we want AI knowing our every mood?
Yeah, that's a good point. But creatively, it's pretty amazing. And personalized music, that's just one thing. Our sources also talked about, like, live performances.
Imagine a concert where AI instruments are jamming with human musicians, like improvising together, or even like virtual performers, AI holograms that can interact with the audience.
Wait, hold on. Are we talking about AI making music live, like during the show? How is that even possible?
It's still early days, but some artists are already trying it out. There are programs that can generate accompaniment in real time.
So, like, in 20 years, what will concerts even be like? Will we even be able to tell the difference between human and AI musicians?
Yeah, that's a question for the ages. But it's not just about the technology, right? We have to think about what this means for the music industry.
Right, like we talked about jobs. If AI can do it all, what happens to musicians?
Some jobs will definitely change. But I think there will be new opportunities, too. Musicians who learn to work with AI, they'll have an advantage. They'll be able to do things we can't even imagine right now.
So it's not about AI replacing humans, it's about them working together, right?
Yeah, I think so. AI is a tool, and it's up to us to use it wisely.
Speaking of wisely, what about all those ethical issues? Copyright, AI being used for, like, fake news, all that stuff.
We can't ignore that. As AI gets bigger in music, we need rules, guidelines. Who owns the music? How do we stop AI from being used to, manipulate people?
It feels like we're at this, like, turning point. We can either just let AI do its thing, or we can try to guide it, make sure it's good for creativity and good for society.
And that's where you come in, listener. How do you think AI will change music? Excited, worried, both.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into AI music creation. Hopefully you got some new things to think about.
It's a world of possibilities and challenges and big questions, and in the end, we're all shaping it together.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Keep exploring, keep creating, and keep listening to music.